everybody. The time has come. The day is here. We have finished all of our summer homeschool curriculum, and I am going to give you kind of a recap and review of everything we did, what worked, what didn't work. Actually, most everything worked. The one thing that didn't work is the thing I'm going to start with, and that is The Art of Rock and Roll. This is from Torchlight. I have a whole video I did, like a flip through of this, and so I will link that for you. But ultimately, this did not work. We did not get very far. This was intended for ages 10 and up. I was using it with a 9-year-old and a 12-year-old, so take that for what you will. It just felt too scattered for me, for my kids really. Too scattered and just too all over the place. I guess that's what scattered means, doesn't it? They were having a hard time kind of following, like my son kept saying, is there a timeline or something that I can look at? And there wasn't really enough here. We would read the lesson, and then the books were just like little paragraphs about different musicians. And I don't know, it just didn't mesh in a way that worked for us. And so we honestly gave up on this pretty early. Now I'm probably gonna hold on to this, and I may pull it out in a few years for one of my kids as maybe a type of independent study when they're a little bit older. It might work better in that way. Of the books I got to go with it, they were all fine. It's just we didn't use them because I'll show you what we did instead. But there was DK Music and How It Works. My son really liked that one. And then there was a graphic novel called Jukebox that they both read and enjoyed. But anyway, this was a miss for us at this point in time. But like I said, I'm gonna put it away, see if maybe in 8th grade or high school, this might be like a fun independent thing for one of my kids. We'll see. But it did not work for us this summer. What I ended up doing is, because this starts with like jazz and swing and blues, I just went and got this book from the library, A Child's Introduction to Jazz, and we just started reading through this. And this, I don't know, just went a little bit better, but you know, it's obviously only covering that one kind of type of music. I also grabbed this book from the library called Welcome to Jazz, and it uses a song When the Saints Go Marching On, and you can hear the different instruments and how they sound playing that song. And it talks a little bit about jazz throughout the book. So that's kind of what we replaced this with. All right, so that was really our only fail. Everything else went perfectly fine. So the big one for us was Paleontology. This went really well. This is by Harbor and Sprout. I'll link the video that I did a flip through video on this, and I showed the resources that we had gotten to go with it. So this, I believe this is ages 6 through 12. And I had also purchased I think it was the primary level workbook. I think that's what it was called, to go with it. I show it in that other video. We did not end up using the workbook. We just used this book, and then my kids each had a science notebook that we had used during the school year. And so they just did a lot of the different like activities and notebooking prompts and things in here. And that worked fine for them. So that's kind of how we did that. This is my version, that's why, but most weeks I just highlighted a few on each of the notebooking and the activity page and told them to pick from the highlighted ones. I did get a lot of questions as to whether this was truly secular or if this was more neutral. So a lot of the research that I had done prior to getting this, and again after getting it, a lot of the like Facebook posts that I could find about it all said that it was, you know, neutral. But when I looked at the dates that those posts were done, it was years, it's been several years, I believe. And this is actually a newer unit study from them. It came out in 2024. So my thought is that those posts were not talking specifically about this one. For me, this was very secular. It referred to the age of the earth, you know, as billions of years old. It used BCE and CE before Common Era and Common Era as far as dating. It talked about evolution, not just as a theory, but as scientific fact. And what was the other thing? Oh, they talk about climate change. Trying to think what else. And it didn't, in my opinion, it didn't talk about things that we know as scientific fact as just a theory. So to me, this was perfectly secular. I did have a friend of mine look through it too and kind of give me her take on that. And the only thing she noticed that I had missed was like one of their sources is a Wikipedia page. But other than that, their sources were really good. The authors of this particular curriculum do not have, I don't think they have a science degree. However, the company does have someone on staff that actually has a degree in like prehistory or paleontology or something. So why that person didn't write this, I don't know. But I'm gonna hope that they maybe helped edit it or something. But anyway, my take on this was that it was secular, but you know, do your own research. But that's kind of how I felt about it. My kids really, really enjoyed this. They absolutely loved it. Of all the books that we got to go with it, the nonfiction books specifically, this was their favorite. They fought over this almost daily. I think I had like 3 nonfiction dinosaur books, and this was by far their favorite of the ones that I had. So I recommend that one. My daughter read this novel and she really liked it. It was Peter Lee's Notes from the Field. And again, I shared this in that other video as well, but she enjoyed that one. Both of my kids read this whole series and liked it. These are like graphic novels. They go through the Cenozoic era, the Mesozoic era, and the Paleozoic era. And then one other one that they really liked that I forgot to pull, it's the Ken Jennings Junior Genus Guides for Dinosaurs. They really liked that one as well. So this was a win for sure. And hopefully that's a good enough review for you on the secularness of it. Let's see. We also did The Science of Climate Change by Blair Lee, a hands-on course. This went really well also. We actually did it much quicker than I thought we would, which was nice. The only, it's not that I didn't like it, but some of the math in here I think is a harder concept to understand. And so I'm not sure how much of that my kids retained. But the rest of it, I felt like the experiments that you did made a lot of sense. I didn't write in here because I want to be able to resell this when I'm done with it. But I did print out like I made copies of like these pages for my kids to work on so that we didn't have to write in the book. I felt like the experiments and activities in here really did a good job of illustrating the concept that they were talking about. And I didn't have to buy a lot of supplies. In fact, even one that I bought, we didn't actually really even need. I bought matches and I could have just used a lighter that we already had. I had to buy Alka-Seltzer, some Kool-Aid, a couple thermometers because we didn't have any. I'm trying to find the shopping list. We needed a tennis ball. I feel like there was one other thing. Maybe that was it. I can't remember now. But anyway, the supplies needed were not anything crazy. Oh, here we go. So, yeah, the Kool-Aid I had to buy because we don't normally have that. Oh, black construction paper I had to get. Matches, but like I said, you could have used a lighter. The Alka-Seltzer. Yeah, everything else we had. So anyway, I thought it was good. I think that my kids know quite a bit more now that we've done this, and I thought it was something very good to expose them to. The books that we did with it, they both really liked this How to Teach Grown-Ups About Climate Change. They asked that we, continue to keep this book because it's something that they would want to pull off and look at again. So that's recommended. My daughter read this graphic novel called Global, and she really liked it. My son did not read this one, but she liked that. This was another book we had that they both really liked by, who does this? Bushel and Peck. This is called Climate Change, The Choice is Ours. They both enjoyed this one. So every page gives you like some information, and then you can kind of see, are you going to learn from history, or are you going to make mistakes that continue the problem? So they really liked this one. We have all about emissions, sea levels, weather, agriculture, ecosystems, disease, shrinking green, speaking up, countries working together, there's hope. Anyway, on and on. This was a good one. They liked it. And then they also both read What is Climate Change? And they love all the What is, Who was books. So that was a good one. I'm glad we did that. Like I said, some of the math parts of it were a little harder to understand, but I feel like they did a good job of doing the best they could to kind of explain that. So, all right, next up is math. So I had put together kitten math and pet math for them both to do, and then I decided I was going to have my daughter do the unit wrap-ups from Math with Confidence. Math with Confidence that we did last year, level 5, grade 5. I just pulled the unit wrap-ups from the whole curriculum for the whole year, and I put them in here for her to do throughout the summer. So this went well. They liked kitten math, but they preferred pet math. They liked that pet math has these little pamphlets that they use to like answer the questions and things. And they just had more fun with pet math, and I felt like pet math was a little bit more doable. It maybe was a little too easy in some ways, but I didn't want them to be doing like things where they had to learn new concepts and things this summer. I just wanted them to practice the math that they had already learned. So they liked kitten math, but I felt like pet math was just more user-friendly. So my son did kitten math and pet math. My daughter did kitten math, pet math, and then the unit wrap-ups from Math with Confidence. My daughter also did this Scholastic Grade 5 Success with Fractions and Decimals. This was just something that I felt she needed to work on more this summer. And so this was just a nice thin little book. I think she actually has a couple pages left to finish, but it went fine. I mean, she didn't like it, but she doesn't like math, but I thought it made it fun enough, as fun as you can make fractions and decimals, and so that worked well for her. They also both worked through Editor-in-Chief. My 9-year-old did Beginning 2, and my 12-year-old did Level 2. My 9-year-old had done Beginning 1, not this past school year, but I think was it this past one? I can't remember. I think it was when he was in 2nd grade that he did it. So I feel like this is really good for just kind of review and practice implementing skills you've already learned. I would not use these to introduce to teach grammar. I just wouldn't. I think that they work much better as reviewing skills that you have already learned and practicing them. Now, they didn't finish these. How far did he get? He got through lesson 9. I think there are, how many lessons are in here? 18. So he got about halfway through. And then my 12-year-old got through lesson 6, and hers has 12 lessons. So they both got halfway through. That's fine. I'm going to put these away for now, but it's something I can pull out at a later date if I want them to practice more. But those were good kind of review and keeping those grammar and punctuation skills kind of up. My 9-year-old also worked. I wanted him to keep working on his cursive through the summer. This is a book that I used with my daughter several years ago, and I had gotten him a copy, I think, to use last year, and we didn't get to it. So this was perfect for this summer. And I like this because they're still tracing first, tracing the letters, and then they write it on their own. So you have quite a bit of that. And he just liked the jokes every day. And then in the back, they start just trying. They're not tracing it, they're copying it more as copy work with it right in front of them in print, and then they have to write it in cursive. So that worked really well, and he is done with that. Now my 12-year-old, we had pulled this into last school year, I think about halfway through the school year, so she didn't finish it. So I asked her to continue it this summer. So she did finish that, and that was exciting. She's glad to be done with it. And then I have 2 more things. This is the last one for my 9-year-old. Now this is something that I had bought. This is for grade 3. I had bought it for my daughter when she was in 3rd grade. I bought it at Ollie's, you can see, for $2.99. And I never used it with my daughter. It's called the Visual Guide to 3rd Grade. And recently this summer I was organizing stuff for a garage sale, and I was going through bins of books that I had previously decided to get rid of, and this was in there, and I thought, man, this looks like something my son would really like. So I pulled this out and added this to his summer work. He's about page 94. I'd say he's about halfway through it. And these are just fun little, like, kind of a nonfiction topic. Like this one's facts about the moon. And then there's some questions they answer, a little activity that they do. So he really liked it, and he'll probably, we're on a break now until our first day of school on August 19th, but likely he will still work on this. And I was glad to get some use out of it. So yeah, he really liked it, and glue. Yeah, it was good for him. So very similar to, there's one I just bought for him to use next. Yeah, it was also by Carson DeLosa, this other one I bought. I think they don't make these anymore, but they do have, I showed it in a haul video. They're called, I think it's called Unusually Fun Reading and Math or something like that. It's very similar to this, and I think that that's maybe what took the place of these books. So anyway, so I have more for him for the future, but I wish I had thought of this earlier in the summer because he likely could have finished the whole thing. But this was a win for him. All right, and the last thing I have is Exploring the World Through Story, which I did with my 12-year-old. This is for ages 11 and up. And I think that this is designed, I made another video on this, I will link it. Actually, I think I've done a couple videos. I did a flip through, and then I did do a lesson with us. So I will link both of those for you if you're interested. But Exploring the World Through Story was something that I had been looking at their kind of regular levels, their letter levels, like A through, I'm not sure how high it goes, G or something. And then they came out with this, and I think that this is designed for, like, I think this kind of takes skills you would learn in those early levels, like A, B, C. So if you wanted to kind of plop your child into level D or E or something like that, these are kind of the skills they would have learned up to that point. I thought this was a great idea to do for summer, just to kind of give my daughter some more writing skill exposure, experience. And for the most part, we really liked this. So she really liked the folktales that she got to read in here. And the only complaint she had 2 complaints. She's 12. Are you shocked? One was that she said there were never enough lines to write when she needed to write. And I don't think she writes like really large or anything, but that was a problem throughout. And then the other kind of issue we had was with dictation, and that is mostly because she has ADHD and her working memory is not great. And so, you know, they talk in here about somewhere, now I can't find it, about the importance of dictation and why they include it. And I think that that is, I really liked what they said about it. And I think that that's really important for her with her working memory. But she struggled with it. And so it was we had a lot of tears. It was very frustrating. I wish that there had been maybe a little more, maybe a little addendum, like if your child struggles with working memory, or maybe here are some other things you can try. You know, we stuck it out. We tried to trust the process and all of that. And I did see some improvement towards the end, but it still was a very frustrating thing for her. But other than that, I really like the way they scaffolded the concepts in the lessons. Basically, you worked your way up to doing a paragraph, and you worked with different types of sentences, expanding sentences, that kind of thing. And then towards the end, you start outlining a paragraph. And the first part of it, you basically like come up with your topic sentence. You're talking about 3 different types of folk tales and a concluding sentence. And then in the next lesson, you build on that and you're adding an explanation and an example for each of your folktale types. And then you're learning how to revise and edit, and it talks about the difference between revising and editing. You're also working every week. There is another thing you're learning for memory work. So you make a card, and then each week you're reviewing all of them. So my daughter said I should put these on a ring so that I can use them, you know, in the future. So I thought that that was good. So overall, it was a great experience. I did not read all of the things that she read, and for the most part, that was okay. This definitely is written to the student, which I show kind of in my flip through video. There were a couple sections where I, as a parent, felt like I needed a little bit more support, and I did go in and read the selection to kind of help her understand it. I think it was... I can't remember now. But it was, you know, it was, a lot of these are very deep and there's a lot of hidden meanings and things like that. And so if you have a child who doesn't have a lot of experience with that, I think that you need to be a little bit more involved than maybe this is written for. But I think that's it. Like I said, for the most part, she liked it, with the exception of those couple little frustrations. And I do think this is something that we can reference in her future writing, and I think we can just build upon it, which was the whole purpose. So all in all, this was good. I recommend it. All right, so I think that was everything. They did the summer reading program at the library. They just finished that a couple weeks ago. They read... What else did I say we were going to do? I think that was most of it. So anyway, I just wanted to kind of come back and give you a little recap and review on what we did and how things went. Overall, it went very well. Like I said, there were just that one curriculum that we kind of dropped. And then for the most part, everything else went decent. So if I forgot anything that you have a question about, let me know down below. Otherwise, I think that's good. I'll talk to you down in the comments.